one, they haven't had much luck finding someone who wants to run against him. But a lot of the people that they've contacted are then calling Thomas Massie to tell him that AIPAC came and asked me to run against you, and just to let you know, I'm not going to do it. So I'm curious as to who this magic candidate they're going to find in Kentucky might be. It'll probably be a state senator or something of the like. And look, Thomas Massie has survived numerous primary challenges, and every single time he has won by more than 70%.
And let's take a look, just to put this in context, what happened when Elon Musk and groups that he supported dumped a whole bunch of money, what, $21 million, into the race in Wisconsin for the Supreme Court. Right. And guess what happened? That was a huge blow, all that money, and you still didn't win. And, you know, the Republicans, some of them brushed it off, but there's a lot of fear there, you know, that money may not do it. So even with Trump saying this and going after Congressman Massie, I think Congressman Massie has a serious point here. He's a 6-term congressman. He's standing by the values of his constituents. Trump said, and as he points out, you know, he ran on, as he points out with Trump, staying out of war. And so I think his constituents, and having lived and worked in the South, really believe in value-based things where you do what you say you're going to do. And they value that very much, and he does that. He is sticking by what his constituents want. There's something to be said for that.
Yeah, and look, Kentuckians, at least the ones I've talked to, I'm married to a former Kentuckian born in Southern Illinois, raised in Kentucky, and they are very concerned about how much money is going abroad, and they feel like they're not seeing the impacts of domestic spending in their state, and that they've really been left behind by Congress. So Thomas Massie taking this tack on the Israel-Iran war, I think, is something that resonates with those people in his district. And he's also talked about his concerns about the big, beautiful bill. He feels like it doesn't cut enough spending to offset the extension of the Trump tax cuts. He's worried that the Senate is now looking to draw down the green energy tax credits over time as opposed to eliminating them immediately. And he's pointed out that some members of Congress who are more fiscal hawks are interested in perhaps separating this into 2 smaller, beautiful bills, including one that focuses on the tax cut extension and entitlement spending, and a separate one that includes more things related to the president's immigration policies.
Because it's more likely to pass that way is what he's probably thinking, right?
And he's thinking that they can get more spending cuts if they do it that way as well. And he points out, look, and I think this is an important point when it comes to the deficit, which is that the CBO scores these bills for a period of 10 years. But as he points out, some of the tax provisions, including the no tax on tips, the senior tax reform, and the no tax on they didn't do Social Security, but there was a third one. No tax on overtime.
Overtime, yeah.
Yeah, he points out that those actually expire after 3 or 4 years. So basically, you're adding to the deficit for the first 3 or 4 years, but then because the taxes expire, which of course they're not going to let them expire because that would be politically damaging for anyone to vote against extending them, the following 6 years, you then make that up in the deficit. So when CBO scores the bill over 10 years, you get the full version of the taxes expiring. They're not going to expire. So he's looking at the 3 to 4 year period with the impact that those taxes, the lack of taxes, will have. So I mean, I think that's a reasonable way of looking at it, because look at what happened with the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. They deliberately made the portion of the middle class tax cuts, as opposed to the business tax cuts, temporary, so that it would be subject to the extension that they're trying to do this year. They did that deliberately because they knew no one's going to vote against extending a middle class tax cut, but we can balance the budget by saying that it's only a 5-10 year provision.
Well, right, and we've seen that happen before, where they put time limits on it just to make sure that it passes, we can move forward, and Americans are not worried about it. I'm curious, because you interviewed him yesterday, what was your biggest takeaway? Any surprises from that 35-minute interview where you really got to understand his point of view on this and how he's feeling about President Trump coming after him?
Honestly, he had a really good sense of humor about it. He didn't seem particularly bothered by it. He didn't seem concerned at the primary challenge. He pointed out that he's been getting a lot of behind-the-scenes support from fellow Republicans who have been giving him fist bumps in the hallway or telling him to keep going. And he has asked his friends on the Hill to get checks from their campaigns to dump into his war coffers to help him fund his re-election campaign. Yeah. He said not a single Republican has turned down that request yet. They are all helping him with money. And his donations from constituents have gone up every time the president attacks him. $30,000 the first time, $70,000 the second time. This time, over $100,000 in donations. His quote to me when I asked him about his concerns about this primary challenge were, quote, "I'll be ready."
Yeah, and I think that what he knows is how detrimental, I go back to that, this will be if Trump starts to do a spending spree and does not win. It's going to be detrimental. It's going to really send a message. So he's getting those fist bumps. Those fist bumps will go, even further, and there's going to be more of them if Trump is not successful in this. So I think Trump has to really weigh this. I mean, I understand that he's one of two going against the tax and spending package, but he has to realize that, like you said, he may have to break up that bill in order for it to pass, and then he has to realize that there's a lot of clout being a six-term congressman. And his constituents are tapping into something that they're into, the values of not going to war, of not putting money into foreign aid right now. I mean, these are all things that, whether I agree or disagree, Congressman Massie has stayed very true with. And again, I think that loyalist punch is something that's really that's something that's going to stick with them, and they're going to. And I also think that they also like the idea of he's fighting for us and what we voted for him for. So I think that he's going to get more money than people will even imagine.
Yeah, look, he's a principled guy. He's also pointed out in regards to the timing of the big beautiful bill, he's like, it's not going to get passed by July 4th, and they're going to threaten to hold us over the holiday to try to get it done, but they're probably going to backtrack on that.
There's going to be lawmakers on their boat.
And then he thinks that they're going to threaten to get rid of the August recess as well, but they won't end up doing it. He was like, that was a favorite trick of John Boehner's. He would threaten to take our recess, and he'd usually give us the week back. So, but he does think that maybe mid-August is a more realistic timeline.
And maybe if it's broken up, to your point.
Right.
Just got to be honest.
Up next, Melania Trump's elite Einstein visa is back in the spotlight. We'll tell you more after this.